Last year, about a year ago, we noticed a very, very significant increase in people from Haiti.
Haitian migrants have been migrating from Haiti for a while now. Haiti has now several decades of instability, political, social, economic instability, extreme violence, extreme poverty, no access to health, basic healthcare, food, and naturally, people have been trying to get out of the country.
The U.S. has not granted asylum to very many of the Haitians, which is kind of ironic because often we have been the source of destabilizing.
The United States, throughout history, has played significant role in the political, economic, and social stability in Haiti, either by being involved in the decisions, the democratic decisions of the country or election process of the country, or economically supporting the debt that they were paying to other international institutions. So either the US government itself or US companies, banks have been involved in this history.
Haïti va rencontrer un problème de sécurité. Tous les jours, il y a un problème. Il y a un panique, obligé de laisser pour capable vivre.
Ela se saiu do Haiti, problema de inseguridade, de violência, muitos bandidos, muito sequestro, é por isso ela se saiu do Haiti.
Since then, they have been on this journey trying to find a better home, a better place to live. Many of them, those who migrated soon after the earthquake, migrated to nearby Caribbean islands first, and then moved south to South America. Chile, Brazil, Peru were places where they found refuge.
Sí, tengo 5 años viviendo en Chile y porque sin documento no puede hacer un buen trabajo. Hay muchas cosas sale difícil en el territorio para hacer. A ver, como que tengo hija, tengo esposa.
Aqui para la Guiana,
Guyana français.
Guiana ela se passou 5 anos na Guiana, não se trabalha, marido dela não se trabalha também. Ela se passou 3 anos em Chile.
Chile, for example, has been to recently a very stable economically stable country in South America. So that's why Haitians were migrating there. Changes in migration laws in Chile, the situation for Haitians who were already settled there were not great. They didn't have a permit to stay legally in the country, to find employment, to be able to, and then from there to be able to sustain their families, no access to healthcare. So it was very difficult for them to live there. They just couldn't find employment. The migrants that we have interacted with, they explained to us that the communities in Chile, Argentina, Brazil, sometimes were not very welcoming.
Ela nasceu no Rio, do Chile, e depois tinha uma Chile, que nasceu uma igreja. Ela também se ataca pela uma violência do chileno. Tenta fazer uma violência do.
Became more apparent that there was a lot of discrimination, racism. Sometimes when they needed services, if they needed medical help, the hospitals were not very welcoming to them. They were sometimes abused on the street, people saying things to them, treating them with contempt. So it was kind of hurtful.
So this rejection, right, from the communities also plays a role in the community, the Haitian community wanting to get out of those countries. They started migrating north. So we start seeing 2020, slowly with the pandemic and with some Haitians feeling a little bit more comfortable traveling and moving around, they started migrating north to Mexico and trying to reach the US-Mexico border to request asylum with the United States.
Era está na Juárez, no está en la playa. Ela se estressado muito, todo dia era assim, estressado.
It became apparent that people did not want them in Juarez. They didn't like them. They took advantage of them.
One, they face many barriers, but one is the language barrier. They often become targets of abuse. People, take advantage of them because they don't understand, for example, how much a rent costs. So they have been victims of abuse that way.
L'homme fait venir, excusez, l'homme fait venir de rencontrer plusieurs, il était dit non, nous allons mettre nous côté pour nous dormir, et puis c'est pas vrai, c'est volonté, non, nous ne tout à fait, non, il n'en a même pas même.
We notice that there's also racism against them. So because of their color of skin or their country of origin, we see how they are not welcome. The US government, again, we're also starting to see that some policies were implemented more harshly towards Haitian migrants as compared to other migrants. Until this day, two policies have been preventing migrants from coming. They have served as what we on the ground call like an invisible barrier, an invisible wall, because although people approach and ask for asylum, for refuge, they're denied and they're immediately returned.
These groups are often kind of prophetic. They're like missionaries that may not have been their intention in coming, but God uses them to speak to us because they're the vulnerable population, and the quality of our country and our nation is the way we treat the weakest and the most vulnerable people among us, and I think we're really failing the test now, and that doesn't bode well for anything in our country or our future.